Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Laughter for All podcast. I am Comedian Nazareth, and thank you for joining me on this Tuesday night here in Southern California. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you last week because we were painting my house, including the studio here and the office. So there was plastic everywhere. All the furniture was in the center of the studio and they were painting, so I had to remove all the cameras and all the microphones and everything, all the electronics in the room, so I could not be able to do it. So thank you for being patient. A week, it's not like you're, oh, we're dying to, there's 187 episodes you can go back and watch for the last 3 years, from actors, comedians, musicians, newsboys, Mac Powell, you got Lee Strobel, speakers, you got Josh McDowell, you got models, you got actors, you got singers, you got evangelists, comedians, pastors, more comedians, more comedians, more comedians. Anyway, I know what's going on in the Middle East. I mean, it breaks my heart. And one of the hardest thing is, right now, is to be a comedian. I wish I were a plumber. I can go to work, do my plumbing, cry at work, uh, be hurting at work, and uh, and do my job. If I'm an accountant, I can still pray for people, cry for what's going on, and then still do my accounting. But when you're a comedian, and that's your job, that's your bread and butter, that's how you make your money, that's how you book your events years before war starts or things happen. And you know what? The events that you can say no to, you say no to. But the ones that you can't, you just have to. You have to. You have to perform. You have to do. You have to do what you do. And like, what are we doing right now? We have to do what we do. And I always say it's like, it brings the song of Smokey Robinson. Tears of a Clown. You cry while you're entertaining people. That's what's going on right now. I hope this season doesn't last too long and it stops. But we're back to, you know what? On Thursday, I will be in Dinuba, California, which is about between Visalia and Fresno in the Central Valley. And I'm going to be helping a pregnancy center, the Dawning Pregnancy Center, to raise funds for the year to continue to save babies' lives here in the US. So that's what I'm going to do on Thursday. On Sunday morning, I'm going to be at preaching at Life Point Church in Arroyo Grande, which is by it's somewhere. It's in the Central Coast. It is by San Luis Obispo and Paso Roble. If you don't know where it's at, look at your wine bottle. You'll know what it is. So I'll be teaching the morning services, and at night I'll be joining my good friend and comedy writing buddy Robert G. Lee. We're doing an etiquetted event at Pacific Christian Center in Santa Maria, California, which is in north of Santa Barbara on the Central Coast as well. So that's where I'm at. And then on the 10th, November 10th, it's a big comedy outreach in Corona at Crossroads, the Laughter for All, where I'm bringing several comedians with me. Robert G. Lee, I'm getting Christian McCartney from TikTok, and also variety act Michael Rayner will be joining us. It's a free event. They asking you to bring a grocery item, a grocery bag to feed the community in Corona for the Thanksgiving and the holiday. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people don't. So that's your ticket item. I'm not charging the church anything. Just paying for the comedians, paying for the advertising, paying for everything, and hopefully we'll get a love offering. But that's not the main thing. Is that you guys raise, get some food to feed the community. That's what we're doing. So if you want to know more about that, just go to my website nazarethusa.com and click on the event, or go to laughterforall.org. Laughterforall.org. Okay, enough of this. Many, many, many years ago, and if my memory serves me, I was at the Laugh Stop in Claremont, and there was this funny guy. His name is Tymon Shipp, and we lost contact. And just recently we connected again. And Tymon is. I'm gonna make sure he is here. And Tymon, I don't hear Tymon.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. So,
Oh, okay, let me.
and welcome, Tymon Shipp. Tymon was born and raised in East St. Louis, Illinois, when it was one of the most dangerous cities in America. Crime and poverty took a toll on residents, including the Shipp family's 8 children. He was the seventh of 8 kids. Thanks to his family's love and faith, he survived childhood and came to embody the old saying, comedy is tragedy plus time. So, as soon as I can see my good friend Tynan, which he's here, see, I see his folders and his chair and his clock, and
What?
I don't see
What?
him though.
Why
This
don't
is
you
what
see me?
I want to see Tynan. Uh,
Uh,
so that's where.
okay.
But he's a very interesting man. We're gonna talk more, not just about comedy, which about his career, but also we're gonna talk about what he does, what he did for a
Uh,
living. It's really,
what am I doing wrong? Am I doing something?
you're having the camera on your finger on the camera, and the camera is pointing somewhere else, not at you. Here you are. Turn around and keep turning it around. Okay. No, it,
No, it's
it's
showing.
the other side.
It's
The
like it's backwards. It's
Yeah, it
showing
says
it's showing everybody but me.
no, it's showing the other side, but you have to turn the camera back. Okay,
How do I do that? I thought I was
just turn the phone.
okay.
No, turn it the other side. Hey, oh no, it's not. Keep doing it. Keep turning it, and it will look at you. No, not turn it this way, the other way. Yeah, I see your fingers.
Yeah, there's my
We were
hand.
doing that before the show.
Yeah,
It's
we
okay.
were doing great. Yeah. Now it won't
Okay.
show me. Why
Uh,
won't it show
Turn it to selfie. Can you turn it to selfie mode? Sarah's asking.
selfie mode? Selfie. Where's selfie mode?
Okay, there's a little on your phone. Okay, he's gone. All right, we'll probably do this in the editing. We'll cut this and let's see where he's at. Okay, back. I'm seeing your. Uh, okay, can
No.
you turn the phone around? Just like not around. Yeah, here you are. Now I see you. Can you
Yeah,
back?
but you
Yeah, I
yeah,
see you.
but
No,
how?
no, 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 don't go to that. Go back. Here you are.
Yeah, but I can't see you. I'm looking from the back of the phone. Apparently something
Oh,
I've
I
done
see.
wrong. I've done
Okay,
something wrong. Let me go to video background.
it's
No,
okay. Turn it towards yourself. Yeah, or push the button.
there's got to
And
be.
all right. Sorry about this technical difficulty, people. I'll just put it off until we see it. So right now, we just want you to continue to pray for the people in the Holy Land, both Palestinians and the the citizens that were hurt, the Israelis that were hurt, and this and here we go. We're back. Hello, here you are.
Okay,
Can you see
okay,
me?
okay. Now what's going on? Okay, my guess.
Okay.
And ship. I'm in. Am I in?
Yes, I see you.
I don't see you now. What's going on? That's not,
Okay. This is not okay. So here we go. I
we
hope
got
that,
we can fix this. We can fix this.
yeah. Now
Let
you know
me
what, you don't have to see me.
let me.
I can this
Aha! Aha!
aha.
There!
Okay. Now
Aha!
back it up a little bit. Okay. This is wonderful. All right.
Is that good?
That's perfect. Let me officially introduce you again. Ladies and gentlemen, Tymon Shipp was born and raised in East St. Louis, Illinois, when he was one of the most dangerous cities in America, the St. Louis, Illinois. Crime and poverty took a toll on residents, including the Shipp family's 8 children. Thanks to his family's love and faith, he survived childhood and came to embody the old saying, comedy is tragedy plus time. He's a comedian, he's an actor, and also he's going to tell us what he did for a living, and that's going to be very interesting to hear. Please welcome my friend Tymon Shipp. Hey, Tymon, how are you?
Thank you, Naz. How are you, man? It's
Do
good to
you
be here.
remember? Was it the Laugh Stop in Claremont when we first met, or where was it? The Improv,
Yeah,
or
it was out there. We did we were all over the place at that time. Yeah, we did meet out at the Laugh Stop in Claremont, which was a fun time out there. Man, it was good. Everybody was just starting out, trying to find their footing and putting everything together. But yeah, it was good times. And man, who'd have thought over 30 years now we've been doing this thing
I
and enjoy.
know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just saw your
Yeah.
dry
Excuse me.
bar comedy. You saw your dry bar special, and we'll talk about that later. But I want to start. You were born in East St. Louis, Illinois.
Yeah, I'm originally from East St. Louis, Illinois, and I was there till I was about 11, and then
Okay,
yeah. Go ahead.
so for the first 11 years of life, and I want to get to that because we there's what's going on is war, and war
Right,
impacts children, and violence impacts children, and crime
right.
impacts children. What was your life like? How did that impact you being born and spending the first 11 years in a violent city or a dangerous city?
Oh yeah, I still have PTSD. I mean, dealing with the bullying, dealing with the danger of growing up in a predominantly a very dangerous city. I mean, my mom and dad, I'm number 7 of 8, as you stated, and my mom and dad, blue collar, we went to church every Sunday. Mom was a worked at the post office, but she could sew, she could cook, she could, and my mother started having children at 16, but we were in church every Sunday, and my dad taught Sunday school, and he, worked, and they gave us the best that they could. They gave us the best that they could. I mean, and my brothers and sisters in my book that I wrote, which is called My East St. Louis, and which came from a one-man show that I had done about growing up there. It was I call my brothers and sisters my protectors, because being number
Mm,
7 of the 8, there were those, you needed those in your family, man, that were able to protect you and make sure that you were well taken care of.
right
So
now.
I mean, you had people were, I mean, they stole everything, and I make comedy about it because comedy comes from tragedy, and I laughed about it, but I had my own personal demons. It followed me well into adulthood.
Like what? Tell me. I mean, I want you to come closer to the screen if you can to bring you
Sure,
up to
sure. Let
the
me.
same level. Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, what is like? What is I just want to. I want people to understand what is. How does this violent environment impact a child who's not involved in it?
well, one for me, one of the things that I'm hoping I'm right there with you. Can you let me
You're
bring that
perfect.
down?
Yeah.
Bring that down a little bit. There we go. Okay. Well, one for me, it affected me. I mean, I think it affected me in relationships. I think it, affected me in a way that, I just dealing with everyday life. I mean, because you have to learn how to embrace who you are, you know. So all your fears, all your issues, man, you have to learn how to deal with those and bring them into, as they say in the Bible, bring it into the light and expose it for what it is so you can move forward. And I think it affected me a lot. I mean, confidence, self-esteem issues, trying to achieve your goals, a lot of those things. Now, Are you there?
Esteem back? How did you get your, all that back after that? What do you think helped you?
I went to therapy. Also had a great mentor. My good friend Dwayne Carrington was the older brother. I mean, my brother. I have an older brother, Benny, who passed away from alcoholism.
Mm,
Benny, and he's the reason why we ended up moving out of the ghettos of East St. Louis. And he was in the Air Force, and he ended up being in the Air Force in Denver, Colorado. So being able to go from the ghettos of and into white suburbia, and being
yeah,
exposed to so many different. I got exposed to the arts, but my brother, he was trying to show me tough love, but his guidance wasn't good. But my friend Dwayne, who actually was from Utah, he was from uh, Ogden, Utah.
mm,
Uh, 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 and I ended up doing theater in Denver in their Five Points area, and I just embraced him. And he was that older brother, man. He was just, I needed it. I mean, because I came to California, as I said to you, after I just did the play Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and I was part of a five-star cast. We were voted best play of '88 and '89. We beat out the Denver Center for Performing Arts as best play, and I figured, okay, I'm ready to be an actor. I was part of this top deal. We were in all the newspapers in Colorado and everything. So I told my mom, I'm leaving. I'm out.
I'm
She
going
said,
to
well, boy,
LA.
I was wondering when you was gonna go, And so my mom gave me $200, man,
Mm,
and I had a Mitsubishi Mirage. And I
I
took my
remember.
albums and my clothes and I packed up. And my big sister Hannah, who I talk to all the time now, my big sister Hannah told me, boy, there are big things waiting for you in Denver. I mean, in LA.
In
You
LA.
keep your head to the and you keep your head to the grindstone. It's gonna be good for you. And it was sad. I mean, because man, I tell you, I mean, I get emotional about it. Just I had an old buddy of mine to ask me, Ty, you're still the same guy when you were in high school. And I said, no, I'm not. You had no idea what I was going through. You had no idea of trying to be by yourself and be who you are and address the issues that I had. And I had a lot of fear from no one ever, they didn't teach me how to fight and teach me how to defend myself. And it's amazing that if you want to understand what God is and everything, he put me in a situation where I ended up working at juvenile hall. And
Wow.
the way I got that job, I should say, I came to LA. I slept in my car the first 2 nights. I got me a room out of the recycler. And this woman who I stayed at her, she let me sleep on her dance room floor. And then she said, you go down there to the 7-Eleven, you get you a recycler, and there you can find your room. And I ended up getting a room in Northridge off Devonshire and Lindley.
I
And
know where that's at.
the woman was across the street from CSUN, and the woman, her name was Carol Neal. She said to me, Tymon, you pay me what you can. I know you're going to make it. Now, these are blessings that are just coming. And so I
Right.
worked temp work. I was doing temp work and everything. Everybody who had told me, call this guy, that all fell through. Nothing happened. So I'm doing temp work and I found a place because I figured once I found a place to lay my head, I can collect my thoughts and put my game plan together. And so
Right.
my good friend Dwayne, I had that guy to call because I was stressing out, man. There was a point where I thought I was going to die. I thought that, hey, man, I couldn't find my footing. I couldn't, I got to a point, I just didn't know where things were going. I had a car, a little bit of money. So when I was down to my last $8,
Mm.
I said, I'm going to get me a beer. And I went down to the bar up off of Devonshire and Reseda, an old shopping center there. And I'm watching, I got a beer, had enough to even leave a tip. And I'm watching the game. Lakers were on. And I'm,
Uh-huh.
watching. And this one, black dude walks up, say, hey, man, how's the game going? I said, oh, man, Lakers, blah, blah, blah. And we're talking back and forth, and we're sharing and everything. And then all of a sudden he said, hey, man, can I buy you a beer? Yeah, man, and For we're talking, and next thing you know, he asked me, "So hey man, what do you do?" And I told him, I said, "I'm an actor. I'm just trying to find a way to pay for my career so I can achieve blah blah blah." I'm giving the whole spiel.
Yeah.
He said, "Why don't you apply at LA County Probation Department?"
LA County Probation Department. Okay.
Yes. And had never heard of it, didn't know about it. He said, "Yeah, I'm a supervisor. My name is Dennis Carroll. Your name, Tymon Shipp." He said, "Hey, Shipp, why don't you apply?" So he got me in. They helped me become a student worker first. They had to get you in, so they brought me in a student worker, and they hadn't hired a GSN, which is considered which is a group supervisor of nights since 1987. They hadn't hired one,
A
so they had
group
opened it.
supervisor of night. So you only work the night shift, which is a dangerous,
Yes,
right?
right. But then at that time, you could still work days. So I started out student worker. When the test opened up, they said, "Don't worry about it, Ty. You're already in." So somebody's watching out for me. Pays to know people, pays not to burn bridges. And there again, as a student worker, I would go and take the carts into the buildings. I started making friends with some of the guys, talking to them, and
These
we'd
are
laugh.
all
And
inmates, right?
no, no,
People.
no. This is staff. The staff
Okay.
who are dealing. The people
Okay.
who would eventually train me on how to deal with juvenile criminals. Now, mind you, I am there at this time. Sylmar Juvenile Hall, which is where I was the largest juvenile hall in the country, which is the
Wow.
LA County has the largest probation department in the
Mm.
country. And you're dealing with, they had over 1,200 kids. It looked like a little city at night, like lit up. I mean, it's just amazing. And
Mm.
so I go in, and and they're every now and then, I told them what I was going to eventually be doing. And say, "Hey, man," and they were giving me the different staff were giving me pointers about dealing with the kids and whatnot. And every now and then I talk to the kids, and but it hadn't dawned on me really till that one day, once I made GSN and someone gave me a clipboard, which is it's a clipboard. It's an actual clipboard, has a population sheet on it, and there's Hispanic, Black, white, mostly Hispanic and Black, some Asian. And they said, "Here you go, man. Go in and structure the kids." And you're talking about structuring 35 to 40 murderers, rapists, gangbangers, pedophiles, all standing in front of you. I had no training. And
And
they
they're all
showed
under
me.
what? 18 years of age?
They are from 14 to 18. Now, at this
14 to
time,
18.
at this time, the county youth authority is still open. So
Mm.
youth authority means depending on the severity of your crime, you would stay there, which you could stay at the county youth authority until you're 25. And then depending on the severity of your crime, the judge could send you to an actual prison with
Mm.
adults. So depending on what you did, you could be gone. And there I was. And I had to learn. I mean, these women and men, showed me how to structure. And I use, and I mean, all your fears, all of your, the bullies and everything were right there in that room. Everything that I was trying to run away from, boom. They said,
That's
"Oh
how God
no."
works, huh, sometimes.
Yeah, God's sitting there saying, "Oh no, brother, you need to deal with this. You need to go through this issue." you know. And at this time, man, I'm like, so now I got a roof over my head, I got a car, I got a job, which also has a pension, right?
Right?
And I also got a 401k with benefits,
And how old
everything.
were
I'm in the
you?
county. I was
How,
25 years old.
that's amazing to have that back
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Right. I started at probation in June of 90. I ended up being a GSN March of 91.
So tell me,
And
Tymon, before
uh,
we get to the comment thing,
yeah.
how do you structure a rapist, a pedophile, a murderer? How do you, I mean, what do you guys do to structure that person before to make him like a good,
Well,
citizen.
first of all, you're dealing with a teenager, and um, if I could, you first have to get him. You don't talk at them. You don't come in what you need to do. You don't do that. No, 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 no. We want them to drop their guard so the brain will open and I can drop some knowledge on you.
Mm,
Okay? Because you don't talk at people. You don't talk down to them. You talk with them. And as I learned how to do this, I learned how to tell stories. Also, what helped me was the fact I knew how to tell a story.
mm,
I started reading more. And I crave knowledge. So I was going to the what is that, Barnes and Noble, and
yeah,
I went to the library, and I started, the thing that I loved even more, Men's Health magazine. Because
really.
Men's Health magazine
Me too.
dealt with being a man, looking at your health, paying attention to, because exposure is key.
Right.
And so when you start gaining all of this knowledge, knowledge is power only when it's used in the right way. If you use it in the wrong way, now knowledge can actually hurt you. So I took that knowledge and my
Mm,
own issues, and I learned to listen, but I also started to imitate them. And then I also started to see the comedy in what was going on, because here I am, you got a kid who say he's a gangbanger, but yet he's got braces in his mouth. It's like, hey man, real gangbangers ain't got no braces. You ain't no gangbanger. What bills you ain't got no medical. You'd be losing a few teeth if and also, you got kids who are, having asthma attacks from masturbation. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You can't be no solid criminal and have all these different medical ailments. Like you got a guy come in, he's only got one arm. And you ask him, hey man, what are you in for? Armed robbery. Stop it, man. Just
I know. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
but see, now you see the medicine. You
Yes.
see, when we talk about we can't laugh at pain, yes, we can. I'm
We
in the
can.
thick of it. The fact that a kid who shot his mother in the back of the head while she was eating a taco, right? Black kid named Davis shot his mother in the back of the head. Then a white kid named Davis' son shot his mother with a 22 in the back. And they thought they were geniuses. And they're talking all down. So as they're getting older, because they did this at 14 and 15 years old, all of a sudden we have a rapist walk in. The rapist walks in, and they're like, look at this. And they see the kid come into boys lockup, and Davison goes, look at this rapist. I despise rapists. I say, hey,
Mhm.
man, didn't you kill your mother? Oh, bro, you're going to piddle? You're going to come at me like that, bro? She was bothering me. Bro, she gave birth to you. You killed the very woman that gave birth, and you're going to try and judge what someone else is doing? You got a lot of nerve, and this is the sickness.
Yeah.
This
But
is the
isn't that the
sickness.
law? I mean, Tymon, I've been to 250 prisons. I've been to juvenile halls several times in Orange County, and isn't there like a certain law, a certain government in prison? Like if you're a pedophile or, a child molester or rapist, you are in the worst. I mean, you will get hurt in the prison.
Well, the thing is, in juvie, you got better protection because you remember you're still a minor. I got to protect him. You can
Ah,
think of what you want. I got to protect him. I can't just say, oh, because then I'm in trouble if I let
right,
somebody hurt him. So what we try to do is isolate him.
right,
See, everybody's got codes. See, Orange County's juvenile hall was not like LA County probation. No, no,
no,
no. See,
no,
they got big doors where you can look right into the room. We didn't have that. Your door was open. If you say you're a level 3 and you're thinking of committing suicide, you had to sit up and watch that kid all night with his door open.
mm,
You had to pay attention. You couldn't let anything happen. You can go to jail behind that. Remember, and then as time goes by, he's got more rights than you do, or
right,
she's got more rights than you do. So your job is not only to structure him and check them and restrain them if they get in, but you also have to protect that one minor who screwed up and he happened to end up in juvie by hanging with the wrong people, and now he's in juvenile hall. You got to make sure that happens to that boy, or his parents are going to turn around and not only sue the county, but then they turn around and probably sue you, or you end up in jail if something happens to him.
What do
So your
you
job,
think? Yeah, from your experience, and you have a lot of experience in that, there's someone listening right now, a mother who has a teenager who's really, he's not in to the level of going to juvenile hall, but they're really disobedient, trying, getting into trouble and all that. What do you think? What's the best advice you tell a mom or dad with a teenager that's going through that stage?
well, it often, when as my mom would say, you got to get your bluff in early, which means from the time that they're born, structure and discipline is key. I'm not telling you to whoop the boy. I got, my friend Dwayne never spanked his son. His son's a solid kid. I mean, he's 30, he's a father himself and married, but he never whooped him. Whereas I was a kid, I got spankings, I got whoopings, you
Mm,
know. Well, but you have to, but I'm not telling you to just whoop them. I'm telling you to talk to them and let them understand the consequences of the mistakes that they're making. And yes, today your job is even harder because of what are we on right now? These electronic devices. These
right,
electronic devices were supposed to make our lives more convenient. They've turned into more of an inconvenience. Our suicide rates are up. Our, kids are getting into more drugs, and people are turning to helicopter parents. And yeah, but you just got to stay focused, and you must make your kid, you must structure them in a way to understand this is what I expect of you. You want, you can reward him or her if you want, but there also has to be, like, we had chores when we were kids.
right.
You had to cut the grass. You had to, you showed them, hey, you are going to go to school. And yes, I'm telling you right now, you are not going to be smoking weed. You tell them about drugs. You tell them about sex. You don't want the public school to do it. Make sure make sure that they get a tutor if you feel they're doing bad in school. There are ways to do it. My sister Hannah was a single mom. My both of my nephews graduated college, but is it harder being a single parent? Yes, it is. But
Yes.
you stay involved. Yes, that means sacrificing your own life to make sure that your child is doing. My girlfriend was a single mother. Both of her kids are doing well. They got issues, but I'm not saying they don't have any mental baggage, but their baggage, as I used to like to say, is not an 18-wheeler full of baggage. They've whittled their baggage down to, I got baggage, but I can carry mine like a purse. I got
Right.
baggage, but I'm dealing with mine. And usually those that have that size of baggage, which means they're dealing with their issues. You have to remember to know thyself. This is not, I started getting more into philosophy and, just not just reading the Bible, having those scriptures have meaning. And so and your prayer and your direction, I read Joyce Myers and who else? What's my man's name?
Oh,
Bishop
Steve
Omer and
Omer,
who else?
I worked with
Bishop
him.
Omer, all those guys, man. I used to go and my pastor, my notebooks were full, you know. But
That
you're learning to crisscross, cultural issues, but everything starts with you. And I've worked on me. And I
Amen.
wish that I'd have worked on myself well enough that whoever that, because I did still get engaged. I fell back in love with a girl that I went to high school with, but she
You
hadn't
never
grown.
married. You're still single, huh?
Still single, no kids. I love, children, but I'm a late bloomer when it came to that. I was so focused on my career, and I thought that, people were going to try to stop me from achieving what I wanted to do. Because when you come from a large family like that, having kids was nothing. I mean, my sisters and brothers was having babies left and right, and but that I wanted more than that. I wanted to be exposed to more than that.
Now
And
you wanted you and I want to tell there's 73 people watching right now. You can ask questions to Tymon. Tymon, as you know, he worked with juvenile hall, and then with people troubled teens. So if you have question about, but now I want to shift to talking about what was your dream when you came to LA? What were you expecting? What were you, hoping you get to where? What level?
I was hoping to be a full-time actor and slash stand-up comic.
Okay.
And I always wanted to be a writer. I always had an issue with my writing. I never thought I was good enough. I mean, I didn't do well in school. I had a lot of personal issues, but I wanted to address my issues. And I felt by dealing with them, then I could achieve what I wanted. And I started reading books. Like a lot of my books were personal, uh, um, like a Tony Robbins type books, all that personal dealing, on a regular basis that I could achieve my goals and my dreams. And like I said, fear and self confidence was always that monkey sitting on your back that you had to, hey man, and you know this from doing stand up.
Right.
Stand up. There's a lot of funny people in the world, but are you interesting, as Dave Chappelle would say? And also your confidence level. I had confidence issues. I still do. There are days I just am able to recognize it when it shows up to move it. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't see it. It would just come out of nowhere, and man, it would devastate me. It would. I don't know if I ever shared with you. I bombed in front of 135 people because I was in my head, but there was something I wanted to do, and I came back. I mean, J. Anthony Brown bagged on me, man, talked about me like a dog, but I came back. I also stepped off the edge of a stage. My own pastor at that time, name was Billy Walker. I worked with him at Juvie. He was pastor of Greater Missionary Baptist Church, a little small church in San Fernando. And he said, "Yeah, Shipp, I'm bringing the church to come see you. You better be funny. If not, I'm gonna bag on you." And man, you would have thought that, man, I was nervous. And I don't know if you remember Gary Cooper. He was
Yeah.
yeah, Gary got me this gig for West Angeles. And
Yeah.
I was there with Scott Wood. Scott
Yep.
Wood,
I remember.
and man, and my spirit was so beat up from that guy saying that to me that I stepped off the edge of the stage and missed it. And luckily, I landed on my feet in front of 200 people, packed house. And my spirit said to me, "Are you going to trust me now?" I said, "Yeah, I am." I climbed back up on that stage, Nazareth, and that was the best 30 minutes I ever did. But it
Amen.
took that my back was against the wall, and and that's been my battle, man. Just making sure that I'm rehearsed, making sure no, at the time and Shipp, you have to believe that you are a great stand-up comedian. You have to believe in yourself, and
But
address those issues.
isn't it time? And a lot of most comedians I know, we all have that fear, that insecurity, and we just the way we're active. Just you go on stage, and once you're on stage, you have all that power, all that
Right,
confidence.
right,
It just you know, uh, but when you're off stage, or sometimes you start, it just plays with your mind. Like
right.
I'm not do well. Maybe I'm not as
Yeah.
funny. Maybe this crowd will not buy it. But that's
Right,
in
right.
every mind. But I'm amazed. So, as an actor, so you were hoping to be an actor, but you still kept your comedy and doing juvenile hall, and
Yeah,
drawing your
yeah.
comedy from there. And
Now, because the acting took off first before the stand-up. Everybody kept asking. I was doing. I mean, I ended up doing. I did theater out here. I did stories, the Soldier Story, and at the Morgan Wixon in Santa Monica. I did church plays. But I ended up getting 11 national commercials with Xerox in
wow,
1998. Um, the third time that Arlene Thornton's agency sent me out, I ended up getting this big deal, and that's how it helped me. I was at probation for 10 years, and that's how I bought my first home. And then I paid off my car. I learned about a little bit about finance, and I was debt free. So I'm rolling, and I wanted to keep that roll going. And so I'm trying to bring the stand up in also. So the stand up, I'm getting a feel for it, working it out. And I started stand up in December of 90.
That's,
And I
you
was,
know what? I started a few months before you, like 8 months
yeah,
before you did. Yeah, I remember
and
that.
and I was going down to the Comedy Act Theater. I started in the hood down 43rd and Crenshaw and Maverick Flats, and it was the great George Wallace who
Yeah,
told me, he said, Ty, you cannot stay down here. Go back up. And I went up. I started going other places. I started doing, I would do churches. I did churches and enabled me to do corporate,
corporate.
which is
Yeah,
clean. And then, I would also, I wanted to do cruise ships eventually, and I got into that. But the thing that helped me to do cruise ships was Elks Lodges, and that audience was a
yes,
simple audience. That age range was fitting what I was talking about, and I wanted because the guys I studied in comedy was Cosby, Pryor, and Carlin, and
yep,
I wanted to crisscross my comedy of coming from East St. Louis, Illinois, and then also growing up in Denver, Colorado. Those two dynamics, that would enable me to go wherever I wanted to go. I could do a predominantly white audience, I could do a Hispanic audience, I could do a predominantly black audience, but anything, I could write some universal humor that everybody would laugh at. And I didn't have to be, I'm only going to do black crowd. No, I could go wherever I wanted to go because I was looking at the entertainment business. I wanted to look at as a business. So if I walked away from probation, I could perform wherever I wanted.
mm,
I wasn't stuck in just one spot. And that's also finding out who is your audience. Well, my audience, I could go to, from Denver all the way to Orange County. I worked with, remember Bill Word? I
yeah,
worked with Bill. I won Bill Word's the first time he put that contest up. I won that Orange County contest. Then
yeah.
I would go, I won the Las Vegas Comedy Festival, and that was through Jan Smith. I don't know if you remember
I
Jan.
know Jen. Yeah,
Yeah, Jan got me in the Ice House. When I left, because I couldn't get in, there was so many clicks in the comedy game, especially in the black comedy game, I couldn't get in. And they were
Mm.
so busy trying to tear you down, man. There was no support. They were trying, if you didn't fit into their cliques or doing their type of humor, they were trying to destroy you. And I just,
let me ask you this, Tymon. I
sure,
performed a long time ago at the Comedy Act Theater, which is all black audience, and you
right,
either kill or you die, or they burn you. There's no in between. And
right,
if you want to find out how good you are, you go to the Comedy Act Theater and perform as a non-black guy. Now,
right.
if a comedian, a fellow comedian, black comic, told me this. He said, Nazareth, you can go on stage anywhere you look. You can wear a T-shirt, you can wear jeans. But he said, if you're African American and you're in front of an African American audience, if you're not dressed up to the T, they're gonna burn you. They're gonna get upset. They won't laugh. Is that true?
Depends. I never
Dep-
had that issue.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I related to them, what I was talking about. I couldn't be you can't be too smart, but you also had to talk about the things that they related to. Remember, African American audience like a physical comedy. They don't like to think, but they love story. They love the big eyes. They love movement, voice tones. So all these things, it's like a Pryor Cosby type of deal,
Right.
and because they're not like the Comedy Act Theater had guys who did one-liners. We had a black Henny Youngman, a guy named Robert that was down there, man. They didn't appreciate him. Well, I should say management didn't appreciate him. But
Yeah.
we had black improv. They didn't. He had to go someplace else to
Right.
get your audience. But you wanted to perform in front of black audiences. I have guys that want to come see me. And you know what I do? I say, hey, man, well, hold up. Wait, man, I want to come check you out. No, I tell you what. Go to my website. Go on your phone. Look at my website. If that's what you're into, that's what I do. Do not come out to me because I'm telling you, if you try to bag on me, try to destroy my show, this ain't the Comedy Act. I'll call security and they'll remove your ass. You
Yeah.
cannot do that here. And you have
Okay.
to tell them that.
Let me ask you this. You were 25, you bought
Uh-huh.
a house, you have 401k, you have a
No,
steady
no, wait a
job.
minute. No, wait a minute. I didn't buy my house till I was 30, about 34, 35 when I first bought
Okay,
my
you're
home. Yeah.
35, you have a house, you have a 401k, you have a car, you have a good job. And why are you still single?
I am still single because, like I said, I was not ready to be married. My focus was more on my life. Um, the girl that wanted to marry me, as I said, I probably should have, but I was also scared. I didn't think that I would probably make a good husband. I didn't think I'm telling you, I had serious confidence issues. And I would not take the deal. My mom used to always say to me, boy, I just worry you're gonna be by yourself, and I don't want you to be by yourself. As boss, I'm gonna be fine. You know, and when they see a guy that's single, oh, he's gay. Yeah, that's what's wrong with him. He's gay. No, it's just marriage is a very serious commitment. It is not a game, so don't
Mm.
play with it. And there are those. I had lots of people. My friend John, I was the best man at his wedding. I thought that they would never get divorced. 25 years, done. And they
Mm.
and I have a lot of I have divorces in my family. That could have been an issue for me. Maybe I thought that I'd end up divorced.
But your mom
And
and dad came back together after the divorce, right?
no, my parents were married for 27 years. My mom loved my dad, but he
Uh-huh.
wouldn't stop drinking. My father was probably one of the greatest storytellers in the world. One of the reasons why she married him, he made her laugh. Matter of fact, my dad, once he saw my stand up, we finally had a relationship. He
Uh,
finally like, man, dude, where did you learn how to do that? And I was like, Dad, if you really want to know, he said, yeah, I learned that from you. He said, man, I ain't never told stories that good. I mean, boy, and he wanted me to tell this story about going skiing in Denver when the white dudes took me up skiing and
tell me about
how,
that one.
uh,
Oh.
well, they took me up skiing. I'd never been skiing. They said, and then they were taking mushrooms and stuff. And they said, Ty, and they would tell, all you got to do, Ty, is just bend your knees, turn your skis in, apply a little pressure, go down the hill. I said, that's all I got to do. He said, yeah. They took me to the highest mountain in Colorado. It was called a black diamond. I said, is that where all the black people ski at? No, 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 no. He said, no, Ty, and they took me up and we were taking the shrooms and everything. He said, Ty, you remember what I told you? Bend your knees, turn your skis in, apply a little pressure, go down the hill. And he said, you ready? And I jumped out, I'm going down the hill. And all of a sudden I said, run away, black man, run away, black man. Went down, went off this cliff, looked back and saw this eagle. He said, damn, I didn't know black people got up this high. Went down and rolled all the way down the hill and got
You're
in
old.
my car and went home. When you see your cheeks touch the back of your ears, you are going too fast. And then your spit's freezing up on your face, and I had snow on it, and I left. And my dad would play that story over and over. I gave you the short version, but he played it over and over again. And it was just one of those, man. And and that was what I'm talking about, being able to tell that story. But also, I think it was, getting into knowledge. I had a young comedian ask me the other day. He said, "Ty, you're old school." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You read newspapers." I said, "Yes, I read 4 newspapers a day. I read books, comedy, knowledge, dude.
You
You're on
have
your
to know.
you know this, Naz.
Yeah.
You are on you step up on your soapbox, and you got to know about life.
Yes.
That's the stuff. And that's where the imagination from those particular articles or what's going on in the world. And I do a meditation before when I get up in the morning. I'm an early riser. I get up, have my coffee, and I sit and let my mind fly. I used to write when I would get off work early in the morning, man. I'd get off work and I'd come home, and you have to wind down from
Yeah.
working nights. And then that's when and you end up writing, and then you hear the audience in your head. You know, you got the audience, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tymon Shipp, and then you hear the audience, and then you do the stuff that you're thinking about. You work it out. You
Let me
know,
ask you this, Simon. Let me ask you this question. Uh,
sure.
and we were talking earlier about insecurity and the fear and all that. How did your relationship with Jesus help you in that arena, if it did?
Oh my God. I mean, you're talking about prayer and tears and strength and trying to find. Because I used to be judged. One thing, let me tell you about church people. I
Hmm.
grew up in the church. I was 8 years old when I got baptized. I've been going to church since I was a baby. Okay. My
Okay.
dad taught Sunday school and all that. And so I was going to Arise Christian Church. I went to, Greater Mission. And I had guys call me a heathen. Oh, Shipp, you're a heathen. All you do is chase women and blah, blah. Maybe so. Maybe that's what I was doing. But I went on a Christian retreat one time. This woman told me about this Christian retreat.
Hmm.
And when I went, Naz, I listened to that pastor. That pastor said, you must study the Bible and have an understanding of what's going on. I said, you know what? You're right. So I had a guy sharing a room with me. And we're in Tehachapi. Have you been to Tehachapi?
Oh, yes.
So we're at a lodge in Tehachapi. We're in God's country. We're sitting up at this lodge. I looked out over that valley, and I swear it looked like a picture. And the guy I'm sharing a room with, right? He's crying and boohooing because he thinks his wife is going to leave him, right? So I'm dealing with him and everything. And when I got out of that Christian retreat, I went to a Christian bookstore. I got me a concordance. I got me a commentary about this thick. And I
Hmm.
got my Bible. My mother had sent me this old Bible. And man, I sat down and I started studying. And I started highlighting. And I was saying, so, whoa, whoa. And I'm reading all this stuff. So the very dude who was calling me a heathen, and he denies it today, and you know him too. He denies it. But hey, when he asked the heathen, could he stay at his place for a month? I said, oh, you asked the heathen, hey, no problem, brother. When he asked the heathen, hey man, can you not, charge? I said, hey man, whatever you need, man, I got you. When he asked the heathen to help him get a job at the heathen's, where the heathen was working, the heathen said, no problem, man.
Got him a
I
job.
had no, oh, he didn't want to work there. Got there, his wife talked him out of it. I said, why you want my son, my husband to go work down at that crazy place? Nothing better not happening. Mind you, the dude was bigger than me, solid as a rock. But I got to the point that I had studied so much, and had an understanding of what was doing, that when the Jehovah's Witnesses would come to my and stop by and knock, I said, oh, come on in. And I sit there, well, it says in the word, yeah, but it says blah, blah, blah on here, blah, blah, blah. But it says in Jehovah's Bible, no, but it says right here that if thou shalt blah, blah. And I said, you know your Bible, don't you? I sure do. I
Mm.
do. And yes. And so, and it was my mother, when I was going through my issues, told me, boy, is that because I told him, I called my mom up crying, Mom, I don't want to die. I don't want to, boy, what's wrong with you? And mind you, I had a car, I had money, I had everything that I needed, but I had no
Mm.
peace. I had
Mm.
no peace. And what I was searching for was to be at peace with who I was so I could enjoy the fruits of my labor. When you see all these different comedians and actors and stuff, dude, there's no peace.
Hmm.
Robin Williams, no peace. Richard Pryor, no peace. The guy that just passed away, what's his name? What's it? That was on Friends.
Matthew, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Matthew. No
No.
peace. He'd been drinking since he was 14 and 16 years old. He'd been doing drugs since then. So he was already addicted, and whatever the issues were, no, they never talked about his home life. Those things matter. And yes, I pray when I get in my car. I pray, before I go on stage. I prayed every night before I went and worked with those kids at juvenile hall.
Yeah.
And
There
and and my go ahead.
Tell me about your dry bar special. How did you feel? When did you do it? When did it come out?
Well, you're gonna love this. So I get a call. It's in September. It's September 2nd. That's a Thursday. I got a
Last
call
this year or
early
last year?
in 2021.
21. Yeah, during the call.
I got a call from Tony Camacho, and Tony Camacho said to me, "Ty, I have a gig for you." I said, "You do?" He said, "Yeah." Now this is the same guy that got me when I did all my cruise ship gigs. When I met him in Vegas through Jan Smith. When I did Brad Garrett Comedy Club, and I ended
Yeah.
up winning all that stuff, and went to. So he called me. He says, "Ty, I got a gig for you." I said, "You do?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, when do you need me?" "Tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" I said, "Where is it?" He said, "It's in Provo, Utah. It's a Dry Bar comedy special." I said, "Get out of here." He said, "You haven't heard of Dry Bar?" I said, "No." He said, "Dude, they got over 2 million followers on YouTube. Can you do it?" I said, "Okay, okay." Hold up. Let me get my head right. And so immediately, this is where we talked about having the finances. This is where your job becomes the vehicle to achieve what you need. I was able, pulled out my credit card, got me a plane ticket, turned around, got me an Uber, turned around, got my hotel room. Okay, Tone, we good to go. Booyah. I'd never been to Provo. They even set up, I hired a guy, a driver that picked me up and picked me up in Salt Lake City and would drive me to Provo.
Who was
Now
that
on
Keith
the
Stubbs? Did you say who was the guy? Keith Stubbs, was it, or who?
that
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 book.
what? Oh,
That book.
it was Tony Camacho who told me about the gig, who set
Funny
it up.
comedian. Yeah. Okay.
Tony Camacho used to be general manager of the Brad Garrett Comedy Club, and
Mm.
he's been in comedy. He's a veteran. He's a godfather like Jan Smith and Bob Fisher. I mean, he's been around for over 40 years.
Mm.
So he's worked with everybody, and everybody knows Tony. Good guy. So that's how I end up. And I'd never been to Provo. Clean show. You could not say damn, hell, and nothing.
Yep.
Squeaky.
Yep.
And two shows, both 25 minutes. They fed us. I was there. I was on the show with James P. Conley,
Okay.
and I followed James P. Conley. And I was nervous out of my mind. I really was, because I didn't want to blow this. And Tony you don't want to, when someone sticks their head out for you, that they believe in you, that they believe in you sometimes more than you believe in yourself.
Right.
You don't want to screw that up. And I did not. And when I was done with the first set, I got a standing ovation, and I was shaking. I'd never been in that situation, to the point that the woman that's in the front row, that sounded like a hyena. A lot of people, it annoyed the heck out of her. I thought it would be great because there's someone's cracking up laughing, and they thought, "Oh, that's overkill." Well, I didn't tell the woman to laugh. This is her, and she's having a ball. I'm not going to shut it down. I
Yeah.
just bent over and said, "You know what? I love you. I love you. Thank you so much." So that was it. And then the second show, I went up. Now the second show was the audience was a little younger. So, but that first show was 40 to 80. The second show was more, say, 25 to, say, 60. you
Mm.
know. So but both still great shows. Then they'll ask you, which show did you think is the best? And then I said my first show was the best show, and the most laughs and everything, and they cut it up, and now it's probably, if you put all the clips together, I've probably received I should be at 1 million views by now with
That's
all
so.
the clips.
I
So that's what.
did it that year. I think the 2020. No, I did it before COVID.
Okay.
Right
I didn't even
before.
know you had done it. Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah.
You did it too.
Yeah. I
Everybody
did.
wanted to do it. Everybody said, "Man, you're lucky, man." Look, dude. Hey, all I can say is, this truly a blessing. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if you do this, but I'm still old school. I still mad at a young comedian said, Look at you bragging because you still write in cursive. Yes, I still write in cursive. I have notebooks. I have notebooks full of stuff, but I write down my intentions.
Right.
Remember, Habakkuk 2:2,
Yeah.
if it is not written, does not exist. Once it is written, it exists. And so when you write that down, now that which you want to achieve is now, it exists now because you can see it. It is written in the mind, it is written in your subconscious, and you move forward. So,
Okay. Tell
that's
me
my thing.
about your podcast. You have a podcast occasionally. What is it called?
The podcast that I've been doing, I do it with a buddy of mine who I started. Matter of fact, the way I ended up even working with him, there's a guy by the name of Carl Kolofsky. I don't know if you know Carl. Carl had a show called The Cause Effect, and Carl saw me at the Ice House. He said, "Hey man, did you ever think of doing a political podcast? I really like what you do." And I said, "Okay, sure." They were looking for a black guy who was political, Democrat. Because the last dude, he would get so angry, and so they called me Tymon Shipp, the Black Voice of Reason. So that's what they started calling me. So I did the show. I started the Cause Effect. So Dave and Carl split. And Carl stopped the Cause Effect. Then Dave, his name is Dave. We call him Dr. David Robinson. He's actual rabbi. He has a doctor. And so he started his own podcast, and he's Jewish. Me being a brother, he invited me on, and he said, "Hey man, would you do podcast?" And after a while, this became a staple on the show. And then he would bring in guest people, different other comedians, and we discuss politics. We talk about, Republicans don't come on because either they're gonna, Dave might, I don't have a problem with anybody.
Right.
But they would probably get into an argument with them, and they're usually pretty comical if you do, but it could get heated. But so
Yeah.
we discuss politics, what's going on in the world. Dave will send out a kind of some talking points that we're doing that we're going to talk about. And I read the paper anyway, so I'm always watching. I read, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times.
Now, where can people listen to it or watch it?
It's letsbetreasonable.com. Also, if you went to David Robinson on Facebook, his name is David Robinson on Facebook. He's also on my page. You could catch it on his. He always has it on his Facebook page.
Well, I appreciate your time being with us. We're already at an hour. I just want to ask you one last question. How can people get a hold of you if they want to book you for comedy?
Oh yeah. Well, you can go to my website, TymonShipp.com, which has all my comedy clips and contacts on there. YouTube stuff. If they want a clean show, if they want a show where I can say anything, it's up to them. I can do both.
No. What do you mean both? What do you mean both?
I can do corporate. I can be clean, or if you say Ty, you can say whatever you want. Then that's the thing. But I always try to respect the room, and I ask people, "What are you looking for?" If you tell me, Ty, this is a clean room, kind of like what I did with Dry Bar. They told me, "Hey, Ty, you don't say such." Cool, no problem. Boom, I did it. So, and that was 25 straight.
But
so,
if you're asked to do a non-clean show, do you do that?
Do a non-clean show? Well, it depends on when I say non-clean, it depends on, I'm talking about being able to say damn, hell, or ass. Like when I do, those type of words.
That's it. I mean,
Also,
you don't want to offend the Lord, right?
huh?
You don't want to offend the Lord Jesus in your comedy, right?
No, I don't offend the Lord Jesus. No, and not in my comedy. That's another thing that people say. Well, Ty, you're this, you're that. I said, dude, I can be what I am. I do not judge, and I go and I perform. That's why I always respect the room. I can write all types of different humor, but what I try to talk about is what's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at any of my videos on everything that I've talked about, and I've, like I said, I performed in front of churches and everything. I am respectful in all ways, and that's why I'm able to go, because I look at things as a business. It is a business, and if someone, when my pastor asked me to be the MC of a show, I did what he asked me to do, and I did that. And people are like, oh man, I didn't know you could. Yep, I can. You know, but if you tell me that, hey man, it's okay to talk about growing up, because I don't know what's going to offend people. You know, I don't know. I mean, I talk about juvenile hall. Some people might find that offensive to
No, no,
talk
I
about.
meant, you know what I mean. When you like Christian with a Christian value, Christian content. We're not talking about sleeping around with girlfriends. We're not talking about drinking and all that. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you mean doing sexual content or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah, or something
Do
that's, as a Christian, you grow up as a Christian. You're 8 years since you're 8 years old, so you always know that like you have a Christian point of view on life.
right,
It's
right.
that's not,
But I also like I am not, I don't have to be graphic. I can, but I'm not. I
right.
don't have to be,
Yeah.
so I can, I have a way, of doing kind of like when I've done, I will say, I'm not going to, shade it. I do curse, from time to time, I've used curse words, but I'm not saying curse words are what make my comedy. My comedy stands on what the comedy is,
Mm,
not on curse words. Curse
right.
words are sometimes just flavor because that's just the way I grew up. My mother was a Christian. My mother, she's passed on, but
Mhm.
if you piss my mother off, then brother, Shipp is gonna check you. But she'd also pray for you on top of that too. So, and that's just being, and she'd probably, I mean, it's funny if I said something like when I told my nephew when he was dealing with a bully, and my sister said, you should talk to him. He's dealing with a bully. I said, come here, Titus. What's the problem? Uncle Tymon, there's a boy down my school picking on me. What should I do? And I said to him very calmly, I said, burn him, set him on fire. Now, some people would laugh and bust up laughing. Some people go, But then again, if I talk about you whooping a kid's behind, if I said, I talked to the parents and the parents said, what should we do? I said, whoop Junior's behind. And and the audience, woo, they're cheering. I said, wait a minute. So you're cheering on whooping a kid, which is also bad, but you were against me setting the bully on fire as a child, which is just it's not
Right.
real, it's comedy,
Right.
and I'm not, but I did as a child being bullied and a kid tried to steal my bike and I used to make money burning leaves as a kid. I did set a kid on fire who sicked his dog on me. And I burned the dog and I burned him. But that's because my dad told me, if anything happens to that bike, you're not getting another one. And I'm living in the ghetto. I'm 9 years old, and hey, I'm just trying to get. And I was not a fighter, and I was not giving up my bike, and I did what I could, and that's just been who
But the
I
kid
was.
survived and the dog survived, right?
Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Timon, for
But
your
wait a minute,
time.
wait a minute. I didn't finish telling you. They can get me at timeandship.com, Time and Ship at Facebook, Time and Ship at Instagram, and Time and Ship at also on YouTube, which
Oh,
also you can find my dry bar comedy, which is on YouTube. And I'm doing a show November the 18th. I'll be at the Ice House Comedy Club with our good friend Rudy Moreno, who you know.
oh,
Yeah, Rudy's doing a show, and I did a church for Rudy too, where I performed at a church that Rudy had put comedy on. And
right.
I did 25. So yeah,
Well, I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you for taking the time to be with us, and you have a great night. Thank you so much. It's good to catch up with you.
thank you so much, Nazareth, for having me, man. I appreciate it. And hey, all the best and everything. God bless you. Thank you
God
so
bless.
much.
And guys, thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate your taking the time to listen to this podcast. If you encourage your friends to subscribe to it and watch it again, I'm going to be this Thursday. I'm going to be in Dinuba, California, which is south of Fresno, doing a pregnancy center. On Sunday morning, I'll be teaching in Arroyo Grande at Life Point Church, doing a little bit of comedy. It's something, a message. It's Arroyo Grande by San Luis Obispo, Central Coast, California. Also on that night, I'll be doing a comedy concert with Robert G. Lee. It's a ticketed event at Pacific Christian Center in Santa Maria, California, which is Central Coast. And then again on the 10th, I'll be at in Corona, a Crossroad Church, doing the Laughter for All comedy concert. It's free with a bag of food that goes to help people, feed people for the holidays. And, we expect about 3,000 people every single event we do there. So it's going to be full. So go to laughterforall.org, get your free ticket, and we'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you guys. You have a great night. Thank you.